The U.S. and China trade war is threatening to drag export-reliant Singapore into a chance of recession. As being known for its strong economy, strongly associated as Asian tiger economy, sadly Singapore is now aggravating underlying risk. Of course, as neighbor country Indonesia will get impact on the possible Singapore recession. Singapore's Ministry of Trade and Industry even stated that the downturn was due to the escalation of U.S. and China trade dispute in recent months. The ministry also has taken further steps to overcome many upcoming obstacles. And firstly, by cutting its expected growth for the year. Precise data will be given in the next graphic. The first data will be about Singapore GDP growth projection. Firstly, it was projected from 0 to 1% or 1.5% to 2.5%, and current projection, it was being cut to 0 to 1% only. In August 2019, the Ministry of Trade and Industry of Singapore announced today that the GDP growth forecast for 2019 has been downgraded to 0.0 to 1.0%, with growth expected to come in at around the midpoint of the forecast range. The downgrade comes amid escalating global trade tensions and weakness in the manufacturing sector. Further, MTI expect that Singapore will likely continue facing strong headwinds for the rest of the year. Previous cutting projection that we saw before actually came from the realization of second quarter of 2019 economic or Singapore economic growth. Here we will give the general overview of Singapore economic growth from second quarter of 2018 to the second quarter of 2019. As you can see, the number keep decreasing from 4.2% in the second quarter of 2019 to 2.6% in the third quarter of 2018, and the second quarter in 2019 the number reached only 0.1%. Sharply declined, that's how we call it. But Trade and Industry Minister Chan Chun Sing said that while Singapore should brace itself for challenges ahead, it needs not to be overly pessimistic. The country continues to attract good investments, and this reflects the confidence that investors have in its long-term value proposition. In terms of investment realization, Singapore is still the country with the largest investment in Indonesia in this period. To get better point of view about this, we would like to show you comparison between Singapore and other countries in terms of investment realization to Indonesia. Yep, as we can see, the number, and of course, as I told you before, the value of investment from Singapore to Indonesia reaching 3.4 billion US dollar. And the second one is we have Japan, China, Hong Kong, and Malaysia, and the other country reaching 3.8 billion US dollar. Under Singapore, Japan became the second largest investor country, followed by China, Hong Kong, and Malaysia. The total investment of the five countries in the first semester of 2019 reached 73.58% of the total foreign investment in the first semester of 2019, which reached 14.19 billion US dollar. Still, Singapore leads investment realization in Indonesia with a value of 3.4 million US dollar. To get specific measurement on how much Singapore investment realization has been going on in Indonesia, let's see the next graphic. This is quarter by quarter from 2018 to 2019. The period also pretty much the same from the from the first quarter of 2018 to the second quarter of 2019. In the last 5 years, Singapore is listed as the largest investment country in Indonesia. Therefore, it will be spillover effect for Indonesia if Singapore gets its recession due to trade war. Realization of investment from Singapore in the first half of this year reached 3.43 billion US dollar, down significantly compared to the same period last year of 5.04 billion US dollar. Nevertheless, the number of projects being worked on actually increased from 4,278 projects to 5,348 projects. As a spillover effect, Indonesia gets bad impacts due to Singapore weak economy. We can check it in the next graphic. This is the impact, or the list of the impact of the recession. If it, actually happened in Singapore to Indonesia. The first one is, of course, decrease in Singapore investment realization to Indonesia and declining Indonesia import to Singapore. There are two main objectives, investment and export. Indonesia puts its dependency much on Singapore. Besides, Singapore is the closest neighbor country to Indonesia. Singapore also put big number of investment to Indonesia. In the midst of the threat of a Singapore recession, Indonesia needs to find other sources of investment countries so that it can continue to drive economic growth this year. It is also estimated that the investment growth this year can only grow in the range of 5 to 6%. And we hope that Singapore can overcome challenging economic cycle in the past by standing united and building on strong fundamentals. And stay tuned on Market Headlines because we'll be right back after the break.